Hello everyone. Today we are going to do something new. We have to discuss some of the terms that we confront with several times while dealing with literature. Let's start with the term Archaism. See, the spelling is Archaism. The pronunciation, British pronunciation of this particular term is Archaism. Archaism. When we pronounce it in American way, it will be Archaism. R is silent here in British English. I have written the phonetic description as well before that particular term. So what is archaism? And see, this is not ism, this is archaism. So archaism. What is archaism? A very old word or a phrase that is no longer used. See, this is the explanation that we get in English Oxford Dictionary. One more word that we have to talk about that we get in M.H. Abrams for this old word that is no longer used. We have a certain word, a very exact word, that is obsolete. Obsolete. O-B-S-O-L-E-T-E means something which is very old and is not being used for a long time is considered to be obsolete. So here we are dealing with obsolete words. They are very old, they are outdated, old fashioned. But see, interestingly enough, when some particular fashion becomes very old, and if that particular thing is being used by someone in new era, in a different era, that becomes a kind of different kind of fashion, because something that is outdated is no longer seen anywhere. So after a long time it becomes something new. So in that manner, sometimes archaism is used for poetic diction, for a specific style of a particular poet. We will discuss about it later. So when we talk of some of the examples that we generally find in literature, methinks. See, nowadays we say I think, but there used to be a word methinks. It was a single word, methinks, M-E-T-H-I-N-K-S. The other one is saith. As we can easily understand, it used to be for the word said that we tell today in modern English. Let's talk about some of the practitioners of archaism. One is Edmund Spenser, who is widely known for his epic The Faerie Queene. I told you that in that particular work he deals with the contemporary queen, and she was none other than Queen Elizabeth. So in Faerie Queene, that was written in between 1590 to 96, most of the archaism or the old words, obsolete words, those are used in that particular work, Faerie Queene, those are derived from Chaucer's medieval English. See, When we talk of Chaucer, in the time of Chaucer, the form that we see of English was medieval English actually. Initially, the old one is called Anglo-Saxon or Old English. From the era of Chaucer, it used to be Middle English, and that is why when we read his Canterbury Tales, we find difficulty while dealing with the words, because those are in medieval English, and nowadays we use modern English. That is why we find differences there. So the first example of archaism is in Fairy Queen by Edmund Spenser, where most of the archaic words are derived from Chaucer's medieval English. The second one is Bible's translation. So which Bible? When you read the history of Bible, you will find used to be several versions of this Bible. So one version of Bible that is also very famous, and it was King James Bible. So in the translation of King James Bible, we find several archaic words there. Then if we talk about Milton and later authors, they made these two works. The first one is The Fairy Queen by Spenser, the other one is Bible's translation. These two works were being used as source for them, for the people like Milton and other later authors. Then when we talk of Keats, John Keats, the poet of beauty, thing of beauty is joy forever. Keats, in his Ode on a Grecian Urn, a very beautiful poem, Ode on a Grecian Urn. We'll talk about it. I'm very much interested in talking about this particular poem. It's very beautiful. It's very soothing kind of poem. Sensuousness that you find, the depiction that you find there. You start feeling like you are in some different world. The line that is very famous of this particular work, Ode on a Grecian Urn, and I quote: "Heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. Heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter." It's a very famous line of this. Generally questions come that this line is extracted or taken from. So the answer is Ode on a Grecian Urn. In this particular poem, Keats used archaism, and some words when you focus, when you read the text of the poem, you will find a repetition of some of the words. For example, you will find shalt. See, we have two pronunciation of this particular word, shalt. One is shalt or shalt. The other one is canst or canst, canst. Shalt or shalt, that's used for shall, or you can say past of that. Canst, again something like can. Then you see a word bread, brede, and that is an archaic word for the term braid, not braid, 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 something that is concerned with the hair of the woman. In Hindi we call it choti. It's not peak of a mountain, mind it. So some archaic words that we have in Keats's Ode on a Grecian Urn is shalt, canst, braid. So there we have brede, instead of BRAIT. In modern English, we have BRAIT. One example from American president whom we are talking more about nowadays, Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln. So we find in his speech, one of the speeches, one of the address that he delivered at Gettysburg, and that is known as Gettysburg Address. In that particular address, Lincoln used biblical archaism, and that's why we find his speech, his address begins with the following words, and I quote, "Fourscore and 7 years ago." Score, you understand? SCORE. Score, of course, the one that you understand for runs that one make while playing any kind of match. Other meaning of this particular word score, SCORE, is a period of 20 years. So score means 20 years. So when we talk of four score, it means 4 into 20, that is 80 years. 4 and 7 years ago. The way this address starts, this is something that we see in the pattern of Bible. That is why it is called biblical Archaism. And then, as I talked, that how sometimes Archaism is used as poetic diction. Poetic diction is something that is kind of identification of a particular poet. Some poets, they use certain words, and that becomes their identity. For example, when you talk of the sentence like I beseech you, BESEECH. This particular word beseech we find many times in the plays of Shakespeare. In 16th century English, Shakespeare used many words, and when we focus on that, we understand that he was the person who used those words very frequently, and that's why those words became his identity. So when someone tries to use such words, we say that, oh, see, this person is imitating Shakespeare. In that way, those words become diction of Shakespeare. So this is how poetic diction we have to understand. Archaism has been a standard option for poetic diction. As we see one archaic word in Coleridge's Rime of the Ancient Mariner, there we have a word KIRK. That is in medieval English. In modern English, the substitute that we have for that particular word KIRK is CHURCH. So for church in modern English, we have kirk in medieval English. That is archaic word, and that shows something. You can think of in that manner also, that by using such words, the poets want to convey something. They want to convey, they want to connect to a particular period of time. Sometimes they use it as their poetic diction. Through the 19th century, poets used certain archaisms in their verses. See, verses is in red color. Means they didn't use these following words in their speech. They used these words especially in their verses, when they compose verses. And those words are I ween, methought, steed, taper. Taper, you understand? Taper, taper. This is archaic word, and this archaic word we see even in Macbeth. When we have taper scene, you remember taper scene? When Lady Macbeth, is suffering with somnambulism, she had to walk in her sleep, and for that she generally lit the taper. Taper means candle, so she gets the candle lit, and ultimately she goes with that. So these are the words: I ween, methought, steed, taper, morn, etc. See, when we talk of the word archaism, and there we talked about Keats. This reminds me of another device, that is Hellenism. Hellenism, Hellenism. This is very favorite device used by John Keats. So what is the Hellenism? For understanding this Hellenism, we have to understand Hellen, Hellen. Of course, we have a mythical character there, Helen in Greece, but it has become like the identity of Greece. See, as the people of India are called Indian, in the similar manner, people of Greece, Greece, that is a country, people of Greece are known as Greek, Greek. So for Greeks, we have a word Hellen. So Hellen means Greek, a person of Greece. So Hellenism means Gracism or Grecism, means something concerned with Greece. So what is the Hellenism? This is devotion to or imitation of ancient Greek thought, customs or styles. So here the concern is more with the Greek tradition, Greek culture, Greek customs, Greek thought. So the things concerned with Greek. When a person becomes aware more about Greek tradition, Greek style, Greek customs, Greek thoughts, then we can say the person is following Hellenism. See, as I started this particular term Hellenism, main concern with Keats, so we'll deal with it. Keats is a Hellenist in the sense that he suffices to propagate Greek culture and ideals through his poetry, and made an attempt to deploy mythological symbols and characters to communicate his expertise with his readers. See, it's very interesting to know that Keats was not well versed in Greek, so he understood Greek literature, he got the things of Greek literature through translation. He did not read Greek in original, as he did not get Greek literature through the source language. See, when you talk of translation, in translation we have two things. One is called source language, other one is called target language. So when suppose when we have to translate some English text into Hindi, it means our source language is English and our target language will be Hindi. So he read Greek literature through target languages, means secondary languages, the languages of translation. But even then he admired Greek culture, and ultimately we see that how he tries to propagate Greek culture and ideals through his poetry, and that's why we see that he used many mythological symbols of Greek literature in his poetry. Through these symbols and characters, he communicates to the readers. See, when we talk of this Hellenism, this is a kind of it is taken as a kind of movement in 18th and 19th century, and in that particular movement Keats was not alone. With Keats we have the poets like Shelley and Byron also. They also used Greek literature and Greek culture for their writing. See, even when we talk of Lord Byron, he was the person who went for fighting for the other people, Greek, for people of Greece. He went there and ultimately he fell ill there, and ultimately he died there. This was the personality of Lord Byron. So Shelley and Byron also used Hellenism in their work. Even sometimes you see that William Wordsworth is also considered the practitioner of Hellenism, and many of the things Keats took inspiration from Wordsworth. The names of Milton and Swinburne also come along with Keats's. So Milton, John Milton, and Swinburne, 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 they are also known as the practitioner of Hellenism. But Keats was grand master among the poets dealing with the Hellenism for all era. So see, this is how we can see that how Keats is considered to be grand master, is the greatest practitioner of Hellenism, and that is why F.R. Lewis had to say. Do you know F.R. Lewis? F.R. Lewis was the person who was very much concerned with the literature of several years, and that is why he started a new kind of criticism. And with the help of his wife, he and his wife both used to publish a magazine called Scrutiny, Scrutiny. He is very famous for that particular magazine. So F.R. Lewis, and yes, when we talk of F.R. Lewis, there we have to talk of the tradition, great tradition of novelist, and there we have the names like George Eliot, D.H. Lawrence, and others. And it was F.R. Lewis who re-established, you can say, or established the actual position of D.H. Lawrence. He acquainted the rest of the world with the real D.H. Lawrence, and from then Lawrence used to get respect after his death for his writing by the endeavors of F.R. Lewis. So F.R. Lewis said about Keats, what does he say? He says, and I quote, "The most Grecian of modern poets," Grecian or Grecian you can say, "the most Grecian of all of modern poets." He is talking of Keats. Who? F.R. Lewis. So this is the declaration of F.R. Lewis regarding John Keats. We can talk of some of the poems by John Keats, in which we find Hellenism there, and it starts with Ode on a Grecian Urn, Endymion, Hyperion, Lamia, Ode to Psyche, the Eve of Saint Agnes. See, the characters like Endymion, Hyperion, we get these characters through Greek mythology. Keats and Shelley both were, having the quality of dealing with the myths in a different way. They used to be known for using myths according to their wishes. They gave new dimensions to these myths. So after discussing Archaism and then Hellenism, let's move to another literary term, that is aphorism. Aphorism. Once again, I have written the phonetic description of that before that particular word. So what is aphorism? In Merriam-Webster dictionary, you will find this meaning: a short phrase that expresses a true or wise idea. So a short phrase that expresses a true or wise idea. When we talk in the terms of M.H. Abrams, who talks of aphorism, and I quote, a pithy, P-I-T-H-Y, pithy and pointed statement of serious maxim, opinion, or general truth. See, for understanding this particular definition, we'll have to understand what is pithy. So pithy means using few words in clever and effective way. Means for saying something very beautifully in a clever manner, not all the times we need more words or many words. So sometimes by using few words we can say something very cleverly in a very effective way. So of pithy means using few words in a clever and effective way. Pithy and pointed statement of a serious maxim. So here we deal with these all serious maxim, opinion, or general truth. We for this we take the help of this aphorism. Of course, we can understand this by certain examples. This example that is there in M.H. Abraham: ars longa vita brevis est, the meaning of which is art is long, life is short. See, sometimes it seems differently, but of course in a few words we are trying to say many more things. So art is long, life is short. See, very interestingly, when you talk of the origin of this particular word, or this particular word was used for the first time, aphorism is the name of a text, is the name of a book written by Hippocrates. Who was Hippocrates? He was a Greek physician. Physician, you understand, a kind of doctor. So he was a doctor. So when a doctor writes, he writes on medicine. So aphorism is a book, and in that particular book, he talks of medicine. And see, in that manner, you can say that aphorism is a word which has come into literature from the field of medicine, in the similar manner as we have the word humor, HUMOUR, that is also, that has also come from medical field. So aphorism is the name of a text by Hippocrates, a Greek physician. Other example that we find in Merriam-Webster dictionary of aphorism, for example, less is more. We start thinking, how can we say that less is more? It seems paradoxical. It seems like paradoxical statement. But when we think, deeply, we find the meaning that in context of decoration, less is more means when we add very few things in decoration, that makes it more beautiful. So in the context of decoration, we have less is more. So when we talk of some of the practitioners of it, those are very famous for using aphorism. One is Oscar Wilde. Then we cannot forget Francis Bacon. Francis Bacon is known for his aphoristic style. The question comes, which of the following writer uses aphoristic style in his writing? Aphoristic, you understand? APHORISTIC, aphoristic style. The style concerned with aphorism, when the poet has to say big things in few words. Then another practitioner of aphorism we have from Germany, none other than Friedrich Nietzsche. See, we have two pronunciation of this person. One is Nietzsche, other one is Nietzsche. Friedrich Nietzsche. So Nietzsche or Nietzsche. Do you know why is he famous? He is famous for his writing, God is dead. So he was a person who declared God to be dead. But later, when Derrida comes and he says that when you say that God is dead, it means you have accepted his existence, because the person who takes birth is destined to die. Means the person who is dead, it means some times ago he or she was alive. So in that manner, in negating God, Nietzsche accepted the existence of God. This is what explanation we have from Derrida, who is famous for his deconstruction theory, a great contributor in post-structuralism. So Friedrich Nietzsche is another practitioner of aphorism. And then who can forget this person, George Bernard Shaw, who is very famous for his witty statements and dialogues. Then we have a French writer, Voltaire, Voltaire, Voltaire. So these were some of the very famous practitioners of aphorism. I hope you have got some of the points. That's all for today. Thanks.